told Hypo to beat me?
No, ma'am.
You's a damn lie.
I didn't mean it.
Then why'd you fix your mouth to say it then?
I said it 'cause I'm jealous of you. You do what I can't. You fight.
I loves Hypo. God knows I do. But I'll kill him dead before I let him or anybody beat me. All my life, I've had to fight. Had to fight my daddy, had to fight my brothers, my cousins, my uncles too. But I never thought I'd have to fight in my own house.
Hello and welcome to Book versus Movie. This is a podcast where we read books that have been adapted into movies and then we try to decide which we like better, the book or the movie. I am Margot P. of ColoniaBook.com and this is my good friend and co-host, Marco D. of Brooklyn Fitchick.
Hi, everyone.
We are very, very excited to talk about today's episode, even though this is a book that we've talked about before and an author that we've talked about before. This is a brand new movie or fairly new movie. Like we don't usually cover movies this recent. But in our age of streaming, we have access to this, and it's amazing. I can't wait to talk about it. Now, if you're new, welcome. We are delighted to have you here. These are the rules. Sometimes we cover things. If you look in our catalog, you'll see there's things that like don't seem like they're a book, and perhaps they're not technically. We do try to crank out a brand new episode every single week, and that means that sometimes we'll consider shorter literary sources like a short story or novella or magazine article or a play. Next month is March. We always do musicals in March, and there's not always a book that springs into a musical, but anything that has any kind of any movie that has any kind of literary source is on the table as far as we're concerned. The only thing is that we have to be able to get our hands on it easily. And so do you. You should be able to get it at your local library or, online somewhere. And the movie needs to be streaming and readily accessible. We're not shelling out a lot of money. We don't want you to shell out a lot of money to go along our little journey here with us. We have a wonderful community online. If you would like to meet other listeners of this podcast, make suggestions for future episodes, or interact with us, there's a couple of places where you can do that.
You can definitely like our Facebook page. The episodes are posted there, but we're more interactive in our Facebook group. You type in Book vs. Movie Podcast Group and ask to join from Facebook. Thaddeus, one of our super fans, has 2 posts that go up. One is of shows that we've done recently, or the shows that we've done, and then the other post is ideas that people have for other shows. We also talk about movie stars and books and all kinds of pop culture. It's a nice place to hang out, and that's where we're the most interactive. But on all social media, which means Instagram, Threads, Twitter, you spell out Book versus and Movie, or you could reach us old-timey email, Book versus Movie Podcast, spell it all out, at gmail.com. And we just got some new stickers, Margot, and they're real sparkly and cute. So I'll send some to you when your house is ready.
Ooh, thank you. Oh, I'll enjoy getting that mail.
Just send us your suggestions.
And if you really enjoy the show and would like to help keep us in books and movies, you can also support us on Patreon.
We're putting up everything from 2021 and then previous to that on our Patreon wall, That includes, by the way, The Color Purple, which we have covered in the past. What's gone up there recently, it's West Side Story, Cats, My Fair Lady, The Princess and the Frog, All the President's Men, Jolene, Apocalypse Now, some really great episodes. We use that money just for the books and the movies and just the cost of keeping the show together. So for all of you that do that, thank you so much. But if money's tight or you just need another way to reach out to us and help us out, leave us a review wherever you get your podcasts. Someone did recently for Spotify, and I'm so sorry, I don't know how to find it again. I don't know how to find those requests on Spotify. I know I accepted it, but I really appreciate every single one of you. iTunes, leave us some stars, wherever you get your podcasts, like I said. Or, just tell a friend about the show. That would be great.
We're just glad you're here. and joining us in this conversation. Okay, look. We've talked about Alice Walker before. And,
Heavy sigh.
A sigh. Just before we begin, we know. Okay? We know. There's a lot of controversy here. We're not going to get into it too much because we talked about it before, although there's been even more controversy that's happened since the last time that we covered Alice Walker. But the fact of the matter is, she is, she's complicated like a lot of male authors are allowed to be. She is a groundbreaking writer, and this is an extraordinary work of art. She's the first African American woman to win the Pulitzer Prize for fiction. That is huge. That is, nobody can take that away from her. It is deserved. She really is an extraordinary talent, and in this book in particular that we're going to talk about today, if you've never read it, just read it. It is something, it's like one of those books that you read and you just never, it just stays with you for the rest of your life. And it's also a kind of book, I think I can say for me, when I read it, I think, well, you could never make a movie about this book. And there's one very good movie. And today we're going to talk about, spoiler alert, another very, very good movie about this book or based on this book. They're extraordinary characters. She's really a fantastic writer, but dang, there's a lot of controversy.
There was controversy at the time, which when this book came out, which we should say was 1982. And she was talking about characters that take place in the 1930s, and I think previous to that, but she's talking, she's an African-American woman. She's based in the South, and she's talking, it's a fictional story. We have to remember that. It's a fictional account of a woman that has survived years of abuse that one can only it's just hard to imagine, and yet finds her way through it. And finds her way to have a peaceful connection with God, to honestly also seek, accept the apology-ish by the man who was the most responsible for her pain. They get to a place where they're, and so it's an extraordinary journey. And at the time, there was a lot of controversy because there's people said, well, there's no good black men in this story. It's just about the women. And I think there's some, I would make the argument, look, most men aren't terrible, but also most men don't point out the ones that are terrible either. It's sort of the job of the women to, I don't use the N-word or rape women. Well, congratulations. It's still, there's, and
you're almost at the bare minimum. Good job.
Yes. There are so many stories that are just about male characters that we enjoy, and we don't, this is her story she wanted to tell. It's fiction. She's talking about a child who grows up to be a woman. There are queer themes here. There are themes about gender roles, which is also ironic considering things that she says now that, she's questioning then that, a world where it's only about one gender over another gender is imbalanced. And so it's violence. There's a lot that's going on here. It's also once again a work of fiction, and it's beautiful and it's tough to read sometimes, but that's sometimes really great art. It should be something that kind of challenges you emotionally.
Right. So. Right. It's such a good book.
Right.
It's so good. So yeah, we can get into it, but it's all on the internet. You can find out all about the various criticism, deserved and perhaps not deserved, but you can't, just like Picasso is always the go-to example of someone who is not the greatest human, has some real serious issues and views, and yet you cannot take away that they are a tremendous artist and have created extremely important works of art.
We just
And
talked
this
about
book
Elvis just a couple
Yeah.
weeks ago, about Elvis Presley.
Exactly.
I mean, Michael Jackson's a person I was listening to this morning, and I went to my head. I'm like, well, what year was that? Oh, 79. That's not so bad.
I know this is a thing we have to do now. So similarly,
Right.
this is it deserves the Pulitzer. It's an extraordinary work of art. So let's just talk about this book. It is if you've never read it before, if you've only seen one of the movies or you've only seen the musical, there's a lot of. This is something I found interesting about the adaptations that we don't really get. The thing about the book is it's a lot of it in letters.
Epistolary.
What's that word? Epistolary. So a lot of it is told through letters that are written by various characters, but mainly our main character, Celie. It opens with a letter that she is writing to God as a 14-year-old girl who has been, and trigger warning, like there's a lot of assault, yeah, and there's just every kind of violence known to humanity in this book. But so her mother has been dead for some time. Her father, she experiences a repeated sexual abuse by her father, and has given birth to 2 children. When by the time she's 14,
Right.
and he takes the children and he just takes them away, and she doesn't know if they're alive or dead. She has no idea, and so she has nobody. She has a sister, but she's writing this letter to God because she really doesn't have anybody else to tell everything that's happening in her life to, and eventually her sister runs away. But anyway, there's this character who's a farmer, and for most of a good chunk of the book, we know him only as Mr.
Right.
Like, okay. And Mr. is taken with Celie's sister whose name is Nettie. And Mr. goes to the father, Celie and Nettie's father, to ask if he can marry Nettie. And he's like, nope. But you're going to marry Celie. So Mr. marries Celie. Mr. Had a first wife who I guess died, and he has some children from his first marriage, and Celie again is 14 years old. So he brings this child in to raise his children, clean his house, and suffer abuse from him for I forget how many years. It's many, many, many years. Nettie, who when she runs away from home, she goes the only place. They're the only human each of them has in the world. So she goes the only place she can possibly go. She goes to her sister's home, and Mister's like, yeah, you can stay here. But then, of course, he tries to assault Nettie, and when she rebuffs him, he kicks her out with a shotgun. And so again, like, Nettie runs away, but Celie doesn't know, did he shoot her? Is she alive? Where did she go? She didn't have any place to go. So she doesn't know if her children are alive or dead. She doesn't know if her sister is alive or dead. And, as far as she is aware, she has absolutely not a single human being in the world who cares whether she is alive or dead. And so there's a long, dark period of her life in this house with this man under these circumstances, and it's so sad.
It's terrible. And I should say, sorry, it starts in the early 1900s. She's in Georgia. She, like you said, it's a child having children, and then a child having to take care of somebody else's children. She's described as very skinny and not pretty. Nettie was the pretty one. It's all these reasons why to take her down a peg. Like, she shouldn't be so ungrateful or so demanding of the world. So she's someone who has a very deep soul, and it just gets up every day and goes about her life the best that she can. And then there's a woman, her husband who we don't know how much older he is than her, but he's much older. Like, he was married before and has teenagers who are rotten to her on top of everything. Like, they just treat her like trash. But there's a woman that he has a crush on named Suge, and she's a jazz singer, and every once in a while she comes to town. And then she and Celie kind of have a flirtation that springs later, but she's the one person, like, she kisses her and she feels love for the first time since her sister. There's also a woman named Sophia. So he also has a son named Harpo, and Harpo builds right on the property, like right on the water. He builds something like it's going to get flushed out any day now. But he builds a thing, poor Harpo. But Harpo also, like, Harpo likes to clean. Harpo likes to cook. Harpo likes to take care of things. He's like, his father beats him for that because that's wrong. That's a woman's work. He meets Sophia, who's a ball buster and gets things done. And sort of people want to knock her down a peg. Like, who do you think you are? Like I said, all these gender roles that are people forcing on other people in order to behave a certain way. And it's restrictive. And it's completely... it's at one point Celie even says to Harpo, you should beat her. That'll keep her in line.
Yeah.
I mean, she doesn't know better.
She doesn't know better, and she's a little jealous that that Sophia speaks her mind and stands up to men, and it's complicated,
It's very complicated.
and so Suge. Let me think if I remember the correct sequence of events. There's a lot of like subplots, and so Suge and Celie are very close. Suge learns, she doesn't know that Mr. has been beating Celie since like day one, but when she finds out, she's like, well, she determines to do something about it. For one thing, she stays there as long as possible because she knows that Mr. is nicer when she is around.
Mm-hmm.
And but eventually she has to leave. She has to work, and she comes back with she gets married while she's gone, and she comes back with her husband, and she tells Mr. like, guess what? We're coming back for Celie. We're taking Celie out of here, and then if you've seen the movie, you know that famous scene. But in the book, it's even, I would say it's even better. It's so good in the book. You're just on the edge of your seat. So Celie and what's your name? Squeak,
Harpo's
second kind of woman that he's involved in. Sophia, there's a whole subplot about Sophia. Sophia's attitude, we learn, doesn't work so well all over the place, and she says the wrong thing kind of inadvertently to a woman who was harassing her,
mm-hmm.
who was a white woman, and because she's is sticking up for herself, she's nearly killed by a mob, and she's punished as though she did something really horribly wrong. And is disabled, and I forget. It's really brutal. It's very, very difficult to read. But meanwhile, after she had left, but she had split from Harpo. Harpo then has a new girlfriend named Squeak, and Squeak and Sophia actually become very close. And I think so. Squeak I think also goes with them, with Celie,
mm-hmm.
and Suge. So they leave, and Celie puts a curse on Mr. as she leaves. And sure enough, like, his life really goes downhill.
He should have listened.
He really gets his comeuppance, which is very satisfying to read at that point because he's such a baddie. And then interestingly, Celie, when she leaves, and so this group of women all kind of go off together, and together they become, the sisterhood, and they're very empowered. And Celie really starts to find her voice. She starts to find her creativity. She opens, the symbolism. She opens this business of making trousers for women. So now women are wearing the pants. The symbolism, and she, her father dies.
Right.
So her father dies, and she learns that the man that she thought was her father, who was abusing her all those years, actually not her father, actually not her biological father. Her biological father died, right before she was born, and so all the property that now we know was her stepfather owned, she owns. She has inherited, and also, guess what? Her son, her sister are all alive, and they've all been in Africa. So there's this whole beautiful section of the book. In either of the movies, you barely get any of it. And I get it, you can only have so much time. But in the book, it's a gorgeous, this whole section about Africa, again, through letters actually, we learned going one way because Mr. has been hiding these letters from Celie while they were there. And, but it's a beautiful section about their life in Africa and how they found each other, and how Nettie finds Celie's kids and it becomes essentially like their nanny. And so they're very close. She tells the children about their mother. And so anyway, they are reunited at the end, and they've all been through so much together. It's just an amazing saga of this woman's life.
We should say that. So there are these letters that are hidden from her by Mister.
Yeah.
Because Nettie constantly sends letters. She believes one day she's going to hear back from her. She really believes it. So
yeah, she never gives up. To her credit, she never gives up writing.
Right. And so after she puts the curse on Mister and his life turns to crap, he realizes, I better write myself with God because I'm getting older. And so he actually initiates getting like the kids over from America. He makes up with Celie. He apologizes. They actually become friends-ish. They have an understanding. Like they do come to a point where they understand. She also had that trauma for years thinking she gave birth to through incest, these kids, and it turns out that wasn't the case. So she had a little bit of that relief there, and she's excited to see them. So it's very, like I said, it's very, very complex, like all these things people are going through. And then when she finally does get to see her kids, it's one of the most beautiful things you'll ever
oh my gosh, it's such a beautiful scene. I can't even think about it too much or I'll start crying. It's gorgeous. It's absolutely beautiful because at this point you're just so invested in Celie. Like you so want her because as the reader, because you've been reading these letters that she's not reading, they're alive. That they care about her and that they love her and all they want is to be reunited with her, even though she doesn't even know what's going on or if they're, she doesn't know any idea what happened to them. And so as the reader, when you finally see them come together, it's so moving. It's so gorgeous. You're just so happy for her. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful book.
It's kind of a balancing out too. Like I said, Mr. kind of walks off into the sunset, like he did a solid. He made up for whatever he did. She has a family now, not just her babies, but all of her friends.
A whole family. Yep.
Everyone has really formed a tight unit, and she's thriving in the middle of depression, by the way, a Black woman that's thriving with her business.
Yep.
It's really exciting, and it's a wonderful journey. I think everyone should read this. There's so many it's also funny at times too.
There's a lot of humor in it. Yes.
I love when Harpo keeps trying to eat to get big as Sophia. There's like little moments of those kind of levity, but yes, it's a very intense story. There's a lot of, you can absolutely say there's a lot of generational trauma that we're not going into for the other people, but that's not what the story she's telling.
No.
And it doesn't need it.
No, it doesn't. No, it's fine. It's her book. She can choose how she wants to tell the story. It's spectacular. Like I say, these characters just stay with you, and the things that happen to them are so plausible and so relatable, and so yes, they take place in the past, but they could happen today. And it's just, just read it. Just read it. It's so good. You will not be sorry. It's one of those must be on the must-read book list. It's so good.
And
now
we've talked about so many authors, by the way, that have issues like anti-Semitism or sexism or isms all over the place. So you do have to sometimes separate the art from the artist, and where do you put your money and your time, and for what reason? I would implore you. Like, I think that Color Purple really deserves something you should read. It's something.
Agree.
It is exceptionally well done, and we, of course, Margot and I both feel differently than she does about those things. In case you're wondering.
Not agreeing.
Not agreeing with her.
Any of this. Not co-signing.
No. And there was also the controversy, you and I remember when the movie came out in 1985, that why was it Steven Spielberg? Why wasn't it this person or that person?
Right. And this is very interesting because now that you mention it, I had forgotten that angle about it, but it's very true. And we have a very similar kind of controversy with the version that we're going to talk about today. And when if I remember correctly, I didn't go back and listen to it, but if I remember correctly, when we were talking about that angle on the original movie, which again, if you've never seen it,
it's beautiful.
Just watch it. It's so good. He really did everything he could do to do it the right way. And we know he's a master of the adaptation anyway.
It's also, I'm sorry, talking about lesbianism in a mainstream movie in 1985, not going to happen. Anywhere.
So anywhere, unless you happen to have a Spielberg signed on.
And he even did it in a very shy way, for sure.
Very, very, with a lot of smoke and mirrors and alluding and not that direct. But yeah, then that's the answer, is that, like, unfortunately, there is a bias against producing stories from people of color, LGBTQ stories, stories that portray American history with any kind of accuracy. It's not going to get made unless you have somebody with a tremendous amount of power and clout pushing to have it made. In the 80s, that person was Steven Spielberg. And I don't really know, there just wasn't, this is just my view, I just think there wasn't an Oprah in 1980. Oprah wasn't Oprah then.
She's an actress in this movie, but she was not.
No, she was not. And even
star.
like and I hate to throw this name out, but it's true, but even like a Bill Cosby, or like there wasn't somebody with that amount of tremendous pull and power that could get literally any project made except for a Steven Spielberg. And fortunately for us, he decided to champion this project, and as we said, did everything he could to do it properly. And we have a similar issue with the version that we're going to talk about today, where who else is going to get that movie made? It's got to be Oprah. Can you have it made without Oprah? I don't think you can.
It was a Broadway musical in 2004, 2005, and that was Quincy Jones and Oprah. Nobody else would make that happen.
No, who's going to do that? Who's going to do that and get the backing it needs to get it to do it properly? You have to have the biggest names who are really invested in it, and unfortunately that's what it takes, especially when you're trying to produce stories about people that are not the mainstream, shall we say, or the perceived mainstream, or the constructed mainstream.
Part of the magic of live theater is that it is new and unique every single time. And this has perhaps never been more true and more thrilling than in our next nominated Best Revival of a Musical, The Color Purple. This story has been a part of my life for over 30 years, as a novel first, then a film, and of course the stage musical. And yet, as it does for everybody who experiences it, this new production succeeds in stunning, in surprising, and in catapulting us to our feet as if it were completely new. Please welcome Cynthia Erivo, Heather Headley, Danielle Brooks, and the cast of The Color Purple.
It's Sunday morning, so make a joyful noise. Joyful noise! Unto the joyful noise.
We talked about this, but I don't remember if we talked about during Black History Month when we talked about it before. We should also mention this book is banned a lot. A great deal.
Yes.
So all the more reason why it's really difficult. So now this musical adaptation, I never saw it on stage. I don't think you ever saw it on stage.
No, I wish I had now.
I only ever saw that when they did the Tonys,
I know.
or like a couple of
Tonys is amazing, by the way. I told Margot,
very funny.
Oprah introducing the Tony Awards, it's explaining that they made a musical adapted from other material. That's what I know. That's audience like, that's what we all do
know.
every day. Like, it's Oprah being Oprah. She's got to Oprah.
I'm like,
she
Oprah,
can't.
have you been to Broadway? Like,
But
you do know Les Mis was a book, right? You do know Phantom of the Opera was a book, right?
We've done so many musicals, y'all. It's all
Oklahoma.
and theater. All the theater we've done that's been based on books, yes. But Oprah's got to Oprah. She's got to give it her extra special. But I would say it's earned. Like when I see that performance at the top of the show with that cast coming onto the stage, it's like.
And one of the reasons I actually have to tell you, I was not that interested in this movie because I love the book so much and I love the original movie so much. And I just thought, I don't need to see purple on stage. And
pants.
And I was 100% wrong. I stand corrected. Do you know who else backed the original Broadway? Mr. Weinstein.
Oh no, really?
Yeah. The music, I was like, well, how good can it be? It's so good. The music is by Stephen Bray, Brenda Russell, and Allie Willis, R.I.P. I am such an Allie Willis fan. If you are a Southern Californian like I am, you may know Allie Willis as the queen of kitsch. Like she had just like the most spectacular collection of kitsch. But she also is one of the biggest songwriters in the 20th century. Like she wrote, "Do you remember the 29th of September?" and Boogie Wonderland.
She wrote those?
Yes. She also wrote the theme to Friends. Just the theme to Friends. I mean, she's ridiculous how talented a songwriter she is. I didn't know that she was involved in this. I had no idea. And then Stephen Bray and Brenda Russell, the music and lyrics, spectacular.
Yeah.
The book, the script, completely on point. I love the choices that are made, because again, there's always subplots that need to be jettisoned. There's also like lots of characters you have to push together, make a composite. I think all of the choices are so right on, spot on. So then our producers of the original one are Scott Sanders, Quincy Jones, Harvey Weinstein, and Oprah Winfrey. The revival is where we get some of the cast members that are in this version. Mm-hmm. And I didn't realize, because like I said, I was only marginally paying attention to when the musical came out, and let alone the revival. I didn't realize how much time had passed between Fantasia on stage playing Celie and Fantasia in the movie playing, that's a lot of time.
Yes, it's 15 plus years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
long time.
Yeah,
And yet
perfection.
It's perfection.
I should say there is a young Celie, Felicia Pearl Mapazzi or Mypazzi. Oh, this cast, first of all.
The cast?
What should we play the trailer?
Okay. Yes.
Let's play the trailer and then we'll
Yes.
dive right into this cast.
Yes.
Today, our teacher taught us about a place called Africa. She say our mamas come from Queens over there. That means that we royalty.
I don't need you to love me.
Afternoon, I need me a wife.
Even if we have to part, you and me, us have one heart.
I don't need
Get off my land!
you.
I write you every day. Nothing but death can keep me from it.
Oh, Miss Celie.
You must ain't got no kinfolk around these parts.
All I had was my sister. She was the only one ever loved me.
I'm gonna hold my head up. I'm gonna put my shoulders back.
It's time for you to see the world.
There's gonna be some changes made.
Put it on. This ain't me.
Hush. We need to look like we belong. Let's see this smile and color. Sweet and loving God.
Showing my heart to the folks that I'm close to.
Now we're talking.
Dear Celie, we are more than just kings and queens. We are at the center of the universe.
Oh, yes, I am.
Our director is Blitz Bazawuli. Marcus Gardley does the screenplay. It's based on the Marcia Norman script from the play and also the Alice Walker novel. Alice Walker signed off on everything here. We should all remember. This cast, Fantasia Barrino. You and I were texting back and forth last night. Why wasn't she nominated for Best Actress?
Robbed. She was robbed.
This performance, I was crying for like 3 hours last night.
Listen. Now we've all seen we'll get into some of the drama that's happened with the cast and the Oprah and all of that. But as I said earlier, I had a kind of a bad attitude about this musical because again, I thought it was going to be purple. So, I'm like, okay, fine. I was telling Margot yesterday, I'm like, okay, sit down, put the movie on, opening credits. I'm like, okay. And then literally before anybody saying the opening shot of this film, I burst into tears. I'm crying for 2 straight hours. And Whoopi Goldberg hasn't even shown up to deliver the baby yet. And I am just, I literally was never not crying watching this film. I was so blown away by the locations, the lighting, the costumes, the choreography is so, I don't understand how they managed with this choreography. It's innovative, and yet it also feels like it's of the period, in whatever period that we're in, because we're spanning a lot of years here. Art direction, the sets, floored. And then we have this cast. Taraji P. Henson. What? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Danielle Brooks. Danielle Brooks. Speechless. She does everything but fly.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Coleman Domingo.
Excellent.
Every single person in this. We've got Louis Gossett Jr. Come on.
Halle Bailey.
Halle, her sister, young Celie's sister is the Little Mermaid. That's all.
Just, we have her as Squeak, Ciara, David Allen Greer.
Oh my gosh. So then David Allen, I'm like, what? David
John
Allen
Baptiste.
Greer? I am crying. I've been crying for like an hour and a half. And Shug, Taraji P. Henson rolls back in, and her husband is Jean Baptiste. Get out of here.
No,
Stop it.
We're only human. We can.
Gosh.
Days keep rolling by, just trying to keep your head up, lifted to the sky. When you get down, just dance around like you're a child. I'll never let you get too low. Oh, if you could be a butterfly, then I know God will take you far. Life can never break your soul. Every day the sun don't shine, but oh, keep it moving, keep it moving. It's up to you the way you choose to go. Keep it moving, keep it moving. Nothing's gonna take you down, but oh, just let it go. Life can never break your soul. Trying, praying, pushing, aiming, smiling, taking it all in. Trying, praying, pushing, aiming, smiling, taking it all in. Every day the sun don't shine, but oh, we keep it moving, keep it moving, keep it moving, keep it moving. It's up to us the way we choose to go. Keep it moving, keep it moving, keep it moving, keep it moving. Nothing's gonna take you down, but oh, wherever we go, life can never break your soul.
I was crying and crying and crying. I was crying from laughter. I was crying from sadness. I'm crying. It's so beautiful. So then the movie finally ends, and I'm like, oh, whew, okay. Then the closing credits and that quilt. I'm crying at the quilt. I was just a mess. That tree at the end. What? How is it? Why have we been talking about any other movie since this movie came out? This is like, it has literally everything. It's so freaking good. These women are just everything. They are bringing everything. I buy it 100%. 100%. I was riveted every single frame from start to finish.
The girl that Felicia Pearl Mapazzi, who plays young Celie.
She's Fantasia.
Celie, when young Celie has to give up her kids, and then she sings that song about the.
Oh my God!
Singing a song. Is it One Prayer? It's just, there's the song where she.
With the chain gang?
Yes!
And oh my. It's just so good. And and I'm sure it was very moving on the Broadway stage, but the way that they've choreographed it on location and they're outside, and it's just unforgettable. It's so gorgeous. I just don't even know what to say about it. It's so good.
And I've somebody who's seen the movie 100 times in my life. Like I am, some of these scenes are so embedded in my head, and these performances, and sometimes with musicals, because they just break into song occasionally, that could be hit or miss if you remember the song or if it's any good. The songs are beautiful. They're beautifully done.
The dialogue is excellent.
It's smart. It's very balanced for all the male characters. There's so those that worried about that. You see human beings. It's very human, and it's also just incredibly beautiful. And I was just taken away. I could not.
Stunned. I'm just stunned. I'm still.
I've watched it twice now, and I'm like still kind of like, wow. I sort of like.
Also, we taking Celie with us. Ain't that right, Celia?
Come again.
Celie is coming to Memphis with us. It's time she saw more of this world.
I'd die before I let that happen.
Good. That's just the going away present I've been needing.
Hey, watch yourself.
You better handle your woman, and she done found her mouth.
She's just being stupid. What's gotten into you, dummy?
I done had enough of you. That's what's gotten into me. It's time I be free from you and enter to creation.
You be talking to a boy that was not in my house.
Maybe if he hadn't have been your boy, he might at least be an inch of a man.
Watch your mouth.
You took my sister Nettie away from me. And you hid her letters all these years. And you knew she was the only person loved me. But Nettie alive.
What? She is.
And my children with Nettie in Africa. And when they get home, us all together, we gonna whoop your country ass.
Watch your mouth in my house.
Well, it's about time to load the luggage.
No.
Come on, Miss Celie, why don't you go and have some peas and be civil now?
Hoppo, your daddy made my life hell on earth. He ain't nothing but a sack of dead horse shit, and horse shit belong in the ground.
The women at this table have lost their minds.
Shut up, you old toothless goat.
You leave me and I get a thin dime, not a red cent.
Come on! No.
Did I ever ask you for anything? Not even your old sorry hand in marriage.
Come on, Celie, let's go. Let's go. Sophia can take care of this.
Oh, yeah, Sophia born to take care of this. Y'all gone.
It's always something.
It's so good. And I don't understand, like, why isn't it sweeping, I mean, I know, like, Fantasia got nominated for a Golden Globe.
Right.
It's not like they didn't get any accolades, but not, I mean, this is a really, of the movies that we've covered, I mean, this is really like a top of all time list maker. The music is so outstanding, and just to be able to, I really, like I said, I love the choices that we made. Like there's the whole part in the movie, I mean, in the book and in the first movie, the part about Sophia. There's a whole we get a lot more of Sophia's story about after she gets out of jail, and she's basically forced to go work as a maid for the woman who put her in jail in the first place.
That scene is terrifying. Because what can she do?
She can't do anything.
She can't do anything. Like, this is the mayor's wife asking her to be their maid, and then and she's like, no. And because she's mouthy and she can't get into the car fast enough to leave, they beat her, and then she's in jail for years. And,
Love me. If not, just ask around. The colored love me. I'll pay you fair.
Honey, just get in the car.
Yeah, go on back to the car now. Go on back to the car.
Hey, I'm talking to you, gal. You wants to be my maid or not?
Hell no.
What's that you say to my wife?
I said hell no. Mama!
Come on, Sophia, just get in the car.
Buster, get my chain out of here! Don't you touch me!
But if she gets out and so then we have like time of her being the maid of this family, and in the book and a little bit in the first movie.
Danielle Brooks, by the way, was nominated for Best Supporting Actress for the Academy Awards.
She's well deserved,
Right.
and should have won.
Yeah, I don't know.
It was amazing, but that sort of part of the story was jettisoned for the musical, and they focus more on her time in jail, which is fine. It works just fine. I think all of the choices that they made to cut this part of the story, cut that part of the story, make these two characters one character, I think work really well. And I don't feel like I don't sometimes it feels like when we see an adaptation like this, it's been adapted into a musical, it feels like we sacrificed this important part of the story so we could have this dumb song. And it never feels like that with this. Every single song is advancing the story in a significant way and is produced as well as it could possibly be produced. So I'm not mad about it in the least. And just every single choice, perfection, absolute perfection.
And the scene where she leaves him, which I didn't think you could do better than the first time.
Right?
And
I was like, okay, how are they possibly going to top that iconic scene?
And once
with
again,
she pulls the knife on him. They do it.
And
It's
Fantasia,
fantastic.
I can't get over Fantasia. I mean, her face breaks my heart every time she just looks at somebody.
Yeah.
When she gets like to smile just a little bit for a moment when she's in love, it's like she's so talented.
so
and the art and the artistry of everything is the use of the water, like those scenes where they go by the water.
Oh my gosh.
I'm like I'll watch this again. I'm serious. Like it's on Max right now. I'll watch it. I'll keep watching it.
Every single moment is so thought out. There's not a single detail that doesn't advance the story, that isn't just to the absolute highest level that it could possibly be. Dang, it's good.
Yeah.
And so here's my theory about like why, because when in spite of the controversy at the time, people went and saw The Color Purple, the Spielberg Color Purple. I've been watching some of the press junket, and of course, like all the drama, which is still going on, about like the cast versus Oprah, production versus Oprah. And look, you needed like remember that song? Purse so heavy, making Oprah dollars. That's what you need to make a movie like this, is those Oprah dollars. And so, I mean, listen, and Oprah, what she says is, the time and time again, like you can tell, like they had to get more money and they had to get more money. And who are you going to send to get more money? Of course, you're going to send Oprah. So this doesn't get made without Oprah. Having said that, I don't feel like Spielberg is that present in the promotion of his movies as Oprah was for the promotion of this movie.
Yeah, Oprah was front and center.
Oprah's like super front and center. And I listen, if it were me, I'd be like, out of my way. I am Oprah. This is the movie. Go see it. But I feel, I don't know. I'm not sure it was helping, is what I guess I'm saying. Because to me, I felt a lot of like Oprah telling me how I'm supposed to feel about this movie.
Oprah can be oppressive. Oprah can
be a little
much.
A lot of Oprah, and which is listen.
Look,
again, if it were me,
but we've existed in the time of Oprah. Like we remember when she began. We remember all the things that she's done, good things that she's done with her show. Also, the not very good things that she has put out into the universe.
Yes, radio flyer wagon full of fat. I'm looking at you.
A lot of the doctors, saying in air quotes, that said things over the years that are very. I know Taraji P. Henson had her issues, and one of them being like they didn't even have a car for us. Like they said, everybody rent a car and go, and like some people didn't have driver's licenses or were like, I'm working 12, 14 hour a day. Like, and that's a big problem with safety on sets of people, these crews that are working very long hours, locations they don't know that well, and getting into accidents because they're tired. They're not, and that's like, you can have a budget for that. Like, I think when it's a Taraji P. Henson of all people.
Right? I know. Like, it's kind of, if it's that important to get all this money, then it's also that important to make sure that you're protecting. I know. I agree.
I get both sides, but
I do. I get both sides, but I'm still puzzled as to. I don't get why this movie was not a bigger deal. Is it? I mean, I know racism. Okay, we're like that's assumed. Oh, and then there was the whole thing about The View.
Yes.
Did you see the whole thing? Okay. I tried. Listen, y'all. I tried. There's only so much time in a week. And I tried as much as I could to bone up on all of the drama about this film and its release and so on and so forth. So supposedly, and I did see interviews like this where Danielle, what's Danielle's last name? Brooks? Danielle Brooks, who again is spectacular. And I'm going to say it, a better Sophia than Oprah. Yeah, I said it. But Danielle Brooks, I saw more than one interview where Danielle Brooks said, yes, Oprah was wonderful at I went to her about Sophia and she we talked about it and she gave me advice and she kind of mentored me with this character that she's known for, We went back and forth. And I saw Oprah say the same thing. Oh yeah, Danielle and I, we bonded about Sophia and And then supposedly Fantasia had said, oh, well then I should probably reach out to Whoopi about Celie and playing Celie on film. And supposedly Oprah was like, no, don't bother Whoopi. And Whoopi didn't know about that until everybody shows up at The View to be on The View. And then Oprah, who was supposed to be on the show, I guess, and Whoopi got into it backstage. Very a la Oprah v. Iyanla Van Zant, which is a whole other thing if you're an Oprah person. And and of Whoopi being like, what is your deal? Don't bother me. What do you mean don't bother me? It's Fantasia and she could have bothered me basically. Like, why are you saying don't bother me? I'll decide whether I'm being bothered or not, I think is basically what it amounted to. But apparently Oprah decided not to go out. This is what I understand. Oprah decided not to go out. Whoopi had been crying.
Oh, wow.
And so when you watch this segment, so then the segment is the three main women. I think it's just the three, Taraji P. Henson, Danielle Brooks, and Fantasia, and the director. Fantasia starts and she says basically I just, before we do anything, I want to thank you so much because this is all because of, my Celie is it's all because you basically giving Whoopi her due. And all three women and Blitz and the audience all give Whoopi a standing ovation. And you can see Whoopi is very overcome. Just go watch it. It's on YouTube. Y'all can find it. So there's some stuff.
Well, we talked about it in the other episode, which is our Patreon wall. Just get to our Patreon page just for that. But when they were making the original movie, supposedly,
yes,
Oprah and Whoopi were filming that scene we were just talking about, the very famous scene. Whoopi went up to Oprah to say something encouraging, like, you're doing great. This happens all the time. Just kind of being encouraging to her because this was her first film role.
Okay, and let's just set the scene.
Yeah.
It's Oprah's first. It's both of them. They've never been in a movie before, basically. But Whoopi, unlike Oprah, Whoopi was a very highly accomplished stage actress, which Oprah was not.
No.
Oprah was just Oprah, okay? And not even Oprah that Oprah became. She's just some TV lady from Chicago at this point. So as an actor, who is the more accomplished, experienced Whoopi by miles?
She had won Tony
Miles and
Awards.
miles.
She won Emmy Awards. Like, she was a bigger deal than Oprah. Oprah was not.
Definitely.
And she tried to be encouraging, like, hey, you're doing great, or blah, blah, blah. And Oprah basically said, how would you know? It's your first movie, too. Like, took it very snotty and personal. And they did not talk for years.
Right.
And then supposedly it had been hashed out. But then for Fantasia, for her to tell Fantasia, oh, don't bother Whoopi, that's saying, like, she's still sore.
Yeah.
Salty. About something.
Yeah. About something.
About something. And by the way, Whoopi's performance is spectacular in the original film. I mean,
I was
heartbreaking.
It's so good. It's so good. Yes, and then when I saw her, she's just for a moment in this movie, I was such a blubby mess to the whole thing. I mean, I just was like, stop, it's Whoopi.
I was John Baptiste when I saw him. I was like,
I was just done.
It's excellence. Like, there's just excellence on that screen. And maybe unfortunately those stories like made people think it's not a good movie, or it's not, and a lot of times, and honestly, we know that it's going to be streaming in a couple of months, a lot of these.
And there's that too. So we're now in a post-pandemic world too, and that landscape is different. This is also true. But having said that, I do think, and not having seen it on the big screen myself, I wish I had.
Same.
I wish I had, because I'm sure it must be even more spectacular on the big screen, like that big tree on the big screen. Oh my goodness. It is one of the best things I've seen in a very long time. It's so good.
So I'm rooting for Danielle Brooks. She is nominated for Academy Award. I mean, were the BAFTAs this weekend? I can't remember.
Yeah, I think they just happened.
Yeah, because I know Fantasia was nominated there. There's the AARP Awards. There's a lot of different awards coming up. But she is such a talent. I want to see the other things, anything she does. I mean, all these people, I'm just going to follow their careers because it's top notch.
Oh my gosh, they're so good. They're so, so good. Let's see. No, yes, Emma Stone won the BAFTA.
Yeah.
For Poor Things, and Cillian Murphy won for Oppenheimer.
It's too bad there are not enough musicals released so they could just have a category for it like they do with animated.
I know, just not anymore. It's just not a thing anymore. Gosh, the music is so every single detail. Oh, just.
I know.
I mean, I keep saying that, but I don't know what else to say about it. Just watch it. Get yourself a box of Kleenex and get the biggest TV. And I'm not a fan of big TVs, but listen, I'm making an exception. Get you in front of the biggest TV you can find and watch this movie. And you're welcome. It's so good.
And I can't pick a book or movie.
No.
No. They're all great.
But I mean, as much as we love this book, I mean, I would even call it a tie. It's so good.
Yeah.
It's that excellent that it stands up to a Pulitzer Prize winning novel. So I'm going to call it a tie. Yeah. I'm going to say, do I like it even more than the Spielberg one? I might. I don't know that I was weeping my eyes out for every moment of the Spielberg one.
The Spielberg one, it's like the last 30 minutes I'm a mess. Yeah. This movie, like I said, I started crying from like when she lost the baby. The babies were taken from her and she was singing about that. And I just was the whole time.
I was crying even before that.
Yes.
I was crying even before that. And I did when I saw, what's her name that plays young Celie?
Oh, Felicia Pearl Mapazzi or Pazzi.
Yes.
Mapasi.
I was like, wow, how did they make Fantasia look so young?
I thought the same thing. Like, are they de-aging her or something? And then because in the Wikipedia, they don't list her. They list her on IMDb. No.
And in her, she's obviously, like, I saw an interview with her too, where she talked about how closely she studied Fantasia, her gestures, and of course her voice. She does sound like a young a younger that woman aged down. You know, it's so plausible. I don't for a moment feel like, oh, you know, it's just. I mean, Louis Gossett Jr.
He's with us still.
I like him better than the guy that plays the character in the Spielberg one. Although he's very good too. I think Louis Gossett Jr. really brings us. Louis Gossett Jr.'s performance is more that guy in my head when I'm reading the book than the one that's in the Spielberg version. It's the pants number. What? Come on.
All I need's a needle and a spool of thread. Got about 1,000,000 patterns in my head. All the ladies next are gonna love to dance, so they miss these pants.
Gabardine, velveteen, satin, and lace, buttons and bows all over the place.
Styles that are made me feel like a queen.
That woman's a whiz with the soul machine. Who that say? Who that say? Who that?
But she's got the.
How much did you want those pants too?
I want all the pants now.
I just want those pants. The sparkly red, sparkly pants.
The sparkly pants. And
They
then
have
when
pockets?
Mister's wearing the silver pants at the end, it's. I just love this movie.
I love that
So
they had
I could call it a
grandkids.
tie.
Like they brought grandkids for Sally.
Yeah, they brought grandkids in. Come on.
Uncle.
Give her the grandkids. She deserves them. Love, 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 love. Gosh, this is a good movie. So, I mean, I'm delighted. I'm just delighted. And it's a perfect segue into our musicals in March.
Yes.
Which I forget, did we decide what we were doing?
No,
for
we
our
were
first
talking about
musicals?
other stuff. Let me bring up our list. Those are.
Did they make a film of? They didn't, right? They've not made a film of the new version of Tommy,
No.
right?
No, it would be the 70s, Anne Margaret and Jack Nicholson. It's bananas.
Okay.
I just saw that recently.
I haven't seen it for a minute. There's that whole thing with the baked beans.
It's and Anne Margaret does a whole thing where she's swimming in baked beans.
Yes, it does as Acid Queen.
Yeah. And Elton John.
So then would we read, what would we read? We would
the lyrics for Tommy, the album.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
Because we're kind of iffy about next week, your schedule, so it might be easy.
My schedule's a little kooky next week.
So you could listen to the album and then see the movie.
Yeah. Now remind me, let me look it up here. I have it here in front of me too. Tommy by The Who. Tommy the Who album, 1969. That's what year I was trying to remember. Okay, yeah, let's do it. So the album is 1969. The album is like I guess what we would call a concept album. It was intended to be a rock opera, and so therefore I'm going to say it qualifies.
Absolutely,
And,
the lyrics are very important to the story. Like it's
absolutely they are.
Yeah.
You can listen to the album and get the storyline if you've never seen the movie or you've never seen the later musical.
It's coming back to Broadway too, so I thought that could be fun. You know,
is it really the Des McAnuff one? Oh, cool. I have a story about that one.
Okay.
Let's do it. Let's do Tommy. That'll be fun.
A rock opera.
Doc Martens.
Doc Martens. Baked beans, y'all. Just get ready for that. Okay, so please, once again, musicals in March, send us your suggestions. We really appreciate it. Our email, once again, is bookversusmoviepodcast@gmail.com. Margo, we actually heard from a trucker who's been listening to us. He's been...
What?
Yeah, and he was all excited we did Duel.
I think about that book all the time. I love that book and movie.
So we have fans all over the country. We're very excited. Margo, where can they find you?
You can find me online at coloniabook.com, and all my social media callouts are at She's Not Your Mama. And where could they find you?
You could find me at my site is Brooklyn Fit Chick, and that's where I am for Instagram and Threads. I'm at Brooklyn Margo for Twitter and for TikTok, and I put some clips on TikTok of The Color Purple, and it's Lots of follows on that. People told me that they're saying there how much they love this movie, but we'll put some Who on there if they don't block us. You know, the universal whole thing. Ridiculous. Anyway, we appreciate you all for listening and checking us out. And please tell a friend about the show, and we'll see you soon with a new episode. Bye.
Purple.
Pants. Thank you so much for listening to the Book versus Movie podcast. We're a part of the Frolic Podcast Network. You could find more podcasts you will love at frolic.media/podcasts. You could find us on Twitter, Threads, Blue Sky, and Instagram at Book versus a Movie. Just spell it all out. We have a Patreon page. Type in there Book vs. Movie Podcasts, where you can find 8 years worth of shows. You can follow Margot D on social media at Brooklyn Margot and also Brooklyn Fit Chick. You can find Margot P at She's Nacho Mama. Thank you again for listening, and please be sure to send along your suggestions for the show. Remember, the book needs to be easy to get your hands on, and the movie has to be streaming on a major platform. We will be back soon with a new episode.